There we go. Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Torah School. We're not getting any input.
You're live over there.
In a mood.
You're on.
Huh?
You're on. You're
Okay,
live.
I'm live, but I'm not getting any input for some reason. Okay. Well, as long as I'm live, that's good. Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Torah School. My name is Eric Allen, and I will be your host. This one is pretty much today we're reading naso, which means take or lift up, depending on what translation that we use. And okay, it's from Numbers 4:21 to 7:89. So we will be reading from Numbers 4, starting in verse 21, reading all the way through chapter 7. Like I said, it is naso, which is take or lift up, whichever translation that you use. And without further ado, we will get started. Thank you, Father Yahweh, for this your Torah, and thank you for your Sabbath, and we thank you for the food that we've eaten and the many blessings you put upon us. We ask that as we open this Torah and read your Torah, that you be with us and teach us your ways, and guide and direct us, and send your spirit of truth among us, and help us to have an understanding from your Torah. In Yahshua's name we ask, please make it so. Hallelujah!
Hallelujah.
Alright, so we are reading Numbers chapter 4, starting in verse 21. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Take a census also of the sons of Gershon, by their father's house, by their clans. Register them from 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who perform the service, to do the service in the tent of meeting. And this is the service of the clans of the Gershonites, in serving and in bearing burdens, and they shall bear the curtains of the dwelling place, and the tent of meeting, with its covering, the covering of fine leather that is on it, the covering for the door of the tent of meeting, and the screens of the courtyard, and the covering for the door of the gate of the courtyard, which is all around the dwelling place, and the altar, and their cords, and all the equipment for their service, and for all that is made for them, so they shall serve. Aaron and his sons are to command all the service of the sons of the Gershonites, all their burden, and all their service. And you shall appoint to them the duty of all their burden. This is the service of the clans of the sons of Gershon in the tent of meeting, and let their duties be under the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. As for the sons of Merari, register them by their clans and by their father's house. Register them from 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who enter the service to do the work of the tent of meeting. And this is the duty of their burden, according to their service for the tent of meeting: the boards of the dwelling place, and its bars, and its columns, and its sockets, and the columns around the courtyard with their sockets, and their pegs, and their cords, with all their equipment, and all their service, and assign to each by name the equipment of the duty of their burden. This is the service of the clans of the sons of Merari, as all their service for the tent of meeting, under the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. So Moshe and Aaron and the leaders of the congregation registered the sons of the Kehathites by their clans and by their father's house, from 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who entered the service for work in the tent of meeting. And their registered ones by their clans were 2,750. These were the registered ones of the clans of the Kehathites, all those serving in the tent of meeting, whom Moshe and Aaron registered among the command, according to the command of Yahweh by the hand of Moshe. And those registered ones of the sons of Gershon by their clans and by their father's house, from 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who entered the service for work in the tent of meeting, the registered ones by their clans by their father's house, were 2,630. These were the registered ones of the clans of Gershon, of all who served in the tent of meeting, whom Moshe and Aaron registered according to the command of Yahweh. And those of the clans of Merari were registered by their clans, by their father's house, from 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who entered the service for the work in the tent of meeting. Their registered ones by their clans were 3,200. These were the registered ones of the clans of the sons of Merari, whom Moshe and Aaron registered according to the command of Yahweh by the hand of Moshe. All the registered ones of the Levites, of whom Moshe and Aaron and the leaders of Israel registered by their clans and by their fathers' houses, from 30 years old and above, even to 50 years old, all who came to do the work of the service of the work of bearing the burdens in the tent of meeting. Their registered ones were 8,580. According to the command of Yahweh, they were registered by the hand of Moshe, each according to his service and according to his burden. Thus were they registered by him, as Yahweh commanded Moshe. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, we can go ahead and type them into the chat room and we'll discuss all. And now chapter 5. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Command the children of Israel to send out of the camp every leper and everyone who has a discharge, and whoever becomes defiled for a being. Send out both male and female. Send them outside the camp, so that they do not defile their camps in the midst of which I dwell. And the children of Israel did so, to send them outside the camp, as Yahweh had spoken to Moshe, so the children of Israel did. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, when a man or a woman commits any sin that men commit and trespass against Yahweh, and that being is guilty, then they shall confess their sin which they have done, and shall restore his guilt in its principal, plus 1/5 of it, and give it to whom he has been guilty. But if the man has no relative to restore the guilt to, the guilt which is restored goes to Yahweh for the priest, in addition to the ram of the atonement with which the atonement is made for him, and every contribution, all of the set-apart gifts of the children of Israel, which they bring, belong to the priests. It becomes his. And every man's set-apart gifts becomes his. Whatever any man gives to the priest becomes his. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When any man's wife turns aside and has committed a trespass against him, and a man has intercourse with her, and it is hidden from the eyes of her husband, and it is concealed that she has defiled herself, and there was no witness against her, nor was she caught, and a spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he becomes jealous of his wife who has defiled herself, or a spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he becomes jealous of his wife, although she has not defiled herself. Then the man shall bring his wife to the priest, and she shall bring the offering for her, and he shall bring the offering for her, 1/10 of an ephah of barley flour. He is not to pour oil on it, or put frankincense on it, because it is a grain offering of jealousy, an offering for remembering, for bringing crookedness to remembrance. And the priest shall bring her near, and shall make her stand before Yahweh, and the priest shall take set apart water in an earthen vessel, and take some of the dust that is on the floor of the dwelling place, and put it in the water, and the priest shall make the woman stand before Yahweh, and shall uncover the woman's head, and shall put the offering for remembrance in her hands, which is the grain offering of jealousy, while the priest holds in his hand the bitter water that brings a curse. And the priest shall make her swear, and say to the woman, if no man has lain with you, and if you have not turned aside to uncleanness under your husband's authority, be free from this bitter water that brings a curse. But if you have turned aside under your husband's authority, and if you have defiled yourself, and some man other than your husband has lain with you, then the priest shall make the woman swear with the oath of the curse. And he shall say to the woman, Yahweh make you a curse and an oath among your people, when Yahweh makes your thigh waste away and your belly swell. And this water that causes the curse shall go into your inward parts, and shall make your belly swell and your thigh waste away. And the woman shall say, Amen, Amen. And the priest shall write these curses in a book, and shall wipe them off into the bitter water, and shall make the woman drink the bitter water that brings the curse. And the water that brings the curse shall enter her to become bitter. And the priest shall take the grain offering of jealousy from the woman's hand, and shall wave the offering before Yahweh, and shall bring it to the altar. And the priest shall take a hand filled with the offering as its remembrance offering, and burn it on the altar, and afterward make the woman drink the water. And when he has made her drink the water, then it shall be, if she has defiled herself, and has committed a trespass against her husband, that the water that brings the curse shall enter her, and become bitter, and her belly swell, and her thigh waste away, and the woman shall become a curse among her people. But if the woman has not defiled herself, and is clean, then she shall be clear and conceive children. This is the Torah of jealousy, when a wife turns aside under her husband's authority and defiles herself, or when a spirit of jealousy comes upon a man, and he becomes jealous of his wife. Then he shall make the woman stand before Yahweh, and the priest shall do to her all this Torah. And the man shall be clear from crookedness, but the woman bear her crookedness. Okay, no questions or comments so far? Chapter 6. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, when a man or woman does separate by making a vow of a Nazarite to be separate to Yahweh, he separates himself from wine and strong drink. He drinks neither vinegar of wine nor vinegar of strong drink, nor does he drink any grape juice, nor eat any grapes or raisins. All the days of his separation he does not eat whatever is made of the grapevine, from seed to skin. All the days of the vow of his separation a razor does not come upon his head until the days are completed for which he does separate himself to Yahweh. He is set apart. He shall let the locks of his hair grow long. All the days of his separation to Yahweh he does not go near a dead body. He does not make himself unclean for his father or for his mother, for his brother or his sister when they die, because of his separation to Elohim, which is on his head. All the days of his separation he is set apart to Yahweh. And when anyone dies beside him in an instant, suddenly, and he has defiled the head of his separation, then he shall shave his head on the day of his cleansing. On the 7th day he shaves it, and on the 8th day he brings 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the priest to the door of the tent of meeting. And the priest shall prepare one as a sin offering, and the other as a burnt offering, and shall make atonement for him, because he has sinned by reason of the dead body, and he shall set apart his head on that day, and shall separate to Yahweh the days of his separation, and shall bring a male lamb a year old as a guilt offering. But the former days are not counted, because his separation was defiled. And this is the Torah of the Nazarite. When the days of his separation are completed, he is brought to the door of the tent of meeting, and he shall bring his offering to Yahweh, 1 male lamb a year old, a perfect one as a burnt offering, and 1 ewe lamb a year old, a perfect one as a sin offering, and 1 ram a perfect one as a peace offering, and a basket of unleavened bread, cakes of fine flour mixed with oil, and unleavened thin cakes anointed with oil, and their grain offering with their drink offerings. And the priest shall bring them before Yahweh, and prepare his sin offering and his burnt offering, and shall prepare the ram as a peace offering to Yahweh, together with the basket of unleavened bread. And the priest shall prepare its grain offering and its drink offering, and the Nazarite shall shave the head of his separation at the door of the tent of meeting, and shall take the hair from the head of his separation, and shall put it on the fire which is under the slaughtering of the peace offering. And the priest shall take the boiled shoulder of the ram, and 1 unleavened cake from the basket, and 1 unleavened thin cake, and put them upon the hands of the Nazarite after he has shaved his hair of separation. Then the priest shall wave them a wave offering before Yahweh. It is set apart for the priest, besides the breast of the wave offering, and besides the thigh of the contribution. And afterwards the Nazarite shall drink wine. This is the Torah of the Nazarite who vows to Yahweh the offering for his separation, and besides that, whatever else his hand is able to provide, according to the vow he takes, so he shall do according to the Torah of his separation. We discussed this briefly in weeks past when we were talking about a person who wants to sell himself into servitude because he has a need and a need for the money, but sometimes a person just wants to put himself in servitude to the priest. And this is in more depth and more detail of where a person would be to dedicate himself to the temple service. If we jump now to Acts, and we're going to go to chapter 21, we can start reading around verse 17. We can see how Paul fulfilled this, and how Paul completely completed this, and the people around Paul said, you go ahead and make a big show of this so that the people who are accusing you will see that you are not a false teacher, and make it and publish it so that people will know that you're not a false teacher. Now this is Luke writing this. Acts chapter 21 verse 17. And when we had arrived in Jerusalem, the brothers received us gladly, and on the following day Shaul went in with us to Yaakov, and the elders came, and having greeted them, he was relating one by one what Elohim had done among the Gentiles through his service. And when they heard it, they praised the Master. And they said to him, you see, brother, how many thousands of Yehudim there are who have believed and are ardent for the Torah. And they have been informed about you, that you teach all the Yehudim who are among the Gentiles to forsake Moshe, saying not to circumcise the children, nor walk according to the practices. What then is it? They shall certainly hear that you have come. So do this, what we say to you. We have 4 men who have taken a vow. Take them and be cleansed with them, and pay their expenses, so that they shave their heads, and all shall know that what they have been informed about you is not so, but you yourself also walk orderly, keeping the Torah. But concerning the Gentiles who believe, we have written and decided that they should keep themselves from what is offered to idols, and blood, and what is strangled, and whoring. Then Shaul took them in the next day, and having been cleansed with them, went into the set-apart place to announce the completion of the days of separation, until the offering should be presented for each one of them. Alright, so we see how Paul fulfilled this vow to us, and we saw in other places where his letter where he had taken a vow, and we see where he completed this, and they made it public so that everyone who was falsely accusing Paul would know where Paul stood on the issue. And just because they wrote that those were the prerequisites for coming into the service, we know that the set-apart spirit, and also that they wrote that every Sabbath they're going to hear the Torah read, and as the Spirit moves them, they're going to be motivated to want to keep all of the Torah. But we're not going to make them keep all of the Torah before they can become part of the assembly. As long as they're not doing anything which is abominable, then the Spirit will guide them the rest of the way. As I always said, I do not teach you to do what I do. I do what I do because I believe what I believe. I do not teach you to do what I do. I teach you what I believe, believing that who I believe in will teach you what to do. I love that saying. Confuses everybody. But anyway, it makes sense if you think about it. That is what they're saying right there, and that's what Paul was saying. And Paul fulfilled the oath of the Nazarite which he had taken, and made it public so those who are falsely accusing can see that he is not teaching falseness. Alright. Verse 22, chapter 6, verse 22. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, This is how you bless the children of Israel, and say to them, Yahweh bless you and guard you. Yahweh make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace. Thus they shall put my name on the children of Israel, and I myself shall bless them. So, also the priest would make a sheen with their hands, with the right hand and the left hand, and that is how Leonard Nimoy got the sign for the basically the same thing. Live long and prosper is what the saying was for the Vulcans. Alright, any questions, any comments? Go ahead and type them in. And now, chapter 7, without further ado. And it came to be, when Moshe finished setting up the dwelling place, that he anointed it and set it apart, all its furnishings, as well as the altar and all its utensils. Thus he anointed them and set them apart. So we are right here with Exodus chapter 30 through 40 again. We're on the first day of the second year, and Moshe is setting up the tabernacle, the tent of meeting. So we're in the same place, just giving more detail of the story. We're still on the base of the mountain of Sinai, and Moshe is setting it up and anointing it. Now here's what the leaders of the tribes of Israel are bringing for doing the service in the tent of meeting. Verse 2. And the leaders of Israel, heads of their fathers' houses, who were the leaders of the tribes over the ones registered, drew near. And they brought their offering before Yahweh, 6 covered wagons, and 12 cattle, a wagon for every 2 of the leaders, and for each one a bull, and they brought them near before the dwelling place. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Accept these from them, and they shall be used in doing the service of the tent of meeting, and you shall give them to the Levites, each one according to his service. And Moshe took the wagons and the cattle, and gave them to the Levites. He gave 2 wagons and 4 cattle to the sons of Gershon, according to their service. And he gave 4 wagons and 8 cattle to the sons of Merari, according to their service, under the hand of Ithamar, son of Aharon, the priest. But to the sons of Kehath he gave none, because theirs was the service of the set-apart objects, which they bore on their shoulders. And we all know what happened when David tried to move the ark on a wagon, on a new wagon even, and when the wagon stumbled and the ox stumbled, we know what happened. So we know that these are to be carried on their shoulders and not in a wagon, so Moshe did not give these people wagons. Of course, there's more to the story than that. I think Yahweh wanted to bless Omar, that's why it stopped there, and when Yahweh wanted to stop and somebody reached out his hand to steady it, thinking, well, I can help Yahweh. I'm sure his heart was in the right condition, but Yahweh had made an example of all who think to interfere with any of Yahweh's plans. But moving on. That's why the sons of Kehath did not get any wagons, because they're going to bear everything on their shoulders. That's what the poles were for. They put the poles in there and they carried it on their shoulders. All right, verse 10. And the leaders brought the dedication offering of the altar in the day it was anointed. So the leaders brought their offering before the altar. And Yahweh said to Moshe, let them bring their offering, 1 leader each day, for the dedication of the altar. And the one who brought his offering on the first day was Nahshon, son of Amminadab, from the tribe of Yehudah. Before we get into detail, Mr. Kent, when was the dedication? In John, it speaks of Feast of the Dedication. So what are we talking about here? Are we talking about this Feast of Dedication, when the altar was anointed, when the tabernacle was set up, when everything was being done right here on the first day of the second year? Is this the Feast of Dedication that we're talking about? These 12 days when the people were bringing their offerings and they're making their slaughterings. Is this the Feast of Dedication spoken of in John, or are we talking about another one?
Well, I do believe that when it came to the Feast of Dedication, this was the one for the tabernacle, but there is also a Feast of Dedication to the temple also, wasn't there?
There was, when the temple was being rebuilt.
Right.
But the controversy surrounding the books of the Maccabees.
Yes, that's a different Feast of Dedication.
There's controversy in that. But of course, when the temple was built, when Shlomo built the temple, there was another. He had a 7-day or an 8-day Feast of Dedication before we had the days of Tabernacles.
Right.
So we had like a 14-day feast there as well. So that's quite possible that was the Feast of Dedication in John as well.
But there is an openness to that discussion, I understand.
And that was said just to cause a discussion. I see that there are 6 users online. If anyone wants to join in, type it in, and we can discuss.
One other thing I would point out, and I'll point this out more to myself than anything else. Often, as we go through all this and we look at all of this, we have a tendency to still disparage the current modern day church for being so large and for having so many moving parts and so many different things. Yet I would point out there's 8,580 Lewites who are actively working to provide for over 1 million people. So Yah saw it fit that there needed to be a lot of people. But I would also come back to Aaron and Moshe are the 2 heads at the top. And it goes down from there. We know that Yeshua sent people out into. It's unique that even in this situation where you know that the high priest is given a position, Moshe was still in a position of high authority also, and I would say that there was still 2 doing the leading here. So something to point out that, even when we feel, boy, the church has become too big for itself, there is an example that to get everything done properly, there needs to be a lot of participants. There's just, in this situation, there's, that many people, but there's still only 2 leaders, and there's the rest of the people have very assigned jobs, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, even though I catch myself saying it also at times, I would point out that Yah has this broken down to the very extent of who gets the wagons, because certain people will be carrying it on their shoulders and others will be able to use the wagons to do the work that they need to do, but it is broken down to very, very precise details so that things get done correctly, properly, in the way he requested.
Good point. Thank you, Mr. Kent. Yes. And I studied this. I apologize. I was going through a move, and I was having a very busy week, very stressful week. As much as I studied this, I tried to study this. I have no answers. I only have questions, which is a sign of a great leader anyways, asking the right questions.
Yes.
But we do know that when something is repeated, that it's very important. Could very well have been phrased a lot easier than using 89 verses of saying the same thing over and over again, but Yahweh chose to use 89 verses saying the same thing over and over again. So as I'm reading this, and I'm saying the same thing over and over again, realize that this is the way Yahweh wants it, and maybe we can type into the chat room why the significance of these numbers, of these values, and why they're repeated time and time and time again, where they could have been said once, each one brought this, and then totaled up. But that's not the way Yahweh chose to do it. He wants us to learn a lesson. And I failed to learn that lesson, so I can't teach it to you. But if somebody else has insight, they can teach it to me. But anyway, continuing on here, we're going to read verse 10 again. And the leaders brought the dedication offering of the altar. In the day it was anointed, so the leaders brought their offering to the altar. And Yahweh said to Moshe, let them bring their offering 1 liter each day for the dedication of the altar. And the one who brought his offering on the first day was Nahshon, son of Amminadab, from the tribe of Yehudah, and his offering was 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old as a burnt offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and as a peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Nahshon, son of Amminadab. On the second day, Nathaniel, son of Zuar, leader of Issachar, brought near. He brought his offering, 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old as a burnt offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and as a peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Nathaniel, son of Zuar. On the third day, Eliav, son of Helon, leader of the children of Zebulun. His offering was 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old as a burnt offering, and 1 male goat as a sin offering, and as a peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Eliav, son of Helon. On the fourth day, Elazar, son of Shedeur, leader of the children of Reuben, his offering was 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old as a burnt offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and as a peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Eliezer, son of Shedeur. On the 5th day, Shelemiel, son of Zurishaddai, leader of the children of Shimon. His offering was 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old as a burnt offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and as a peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Shelemiel, son of Zurishaddai. Hey, Mr. Ken, if you want to pick up from verse 42, I'll rest my voice for a while.
Okay. On the 6th day, Eliasaph, son of Daul, leader of the children of Gad, his offering was 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 golden ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old as a burnt offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and as a peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Eliphias, son of Daul. On the 7th day, Elishama, son of Ammihud, leader of the children of Ephraim, his offering was 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old as a burnt offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and as a peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Elishama, the son of Ammihud. On the 8th day, Gamaliel, son of Pedahasur, leader of the children of Manasseh, his offering was 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb, 1 year old, as a burnt offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and as a peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Gamaliel, the son of Pedahsur. On the 9th day, Abidan, son of Gedoni, leader of the children of Binyamin, his offering was 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old as a burnt offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and a peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Abidan the son of Gidoni. On the 10th day, Ahaziah, son of Ammishaddai, leader of the children of Dan, his offering was 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old as a burnt offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and a peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Ahaziah, son of Ammishaddai. This was the offering of... On the 11th day, Pagael, son of Okran, leader of the children of Asher, his offering was 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old as a burnt offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and as a peace offering, 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Pagael, son of Okran. On the 12th day, Ahira, son of Anan, leader of the children of Naphtali, his offering 1 silver dish, the weight of which was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place, both of them filled with fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, 1 gold ladle of 10 shekels filled with incense, 1 young bull, 1 ram, 1 male lamb a year old as a burnt offering, 1 male goat as a sin offering, and as a peace offering 2 cattle, 5 rams, 5 male goats, 5 male lambs a year old. This was the offering of Ahira, son of Anan. This was the dedication of the altar from the leaders of Israel, when it was anointed 12 silver dishes, 12 silver bowls, 12 gold ladles. Each silver dish was 130 shekels, and each bowl 70 shekels. All the silver of the vessels was 2,430 shekels, according to the shekel of the set-apart place. The 12 gold ladles filled with incense was 10 shekels each, according to the shekel of the set-apart place. All the gold of the ladles was 120 shekels. All the cattle for the burnt offerings were 12 young bulls, the rams 12, the male lambs a year old 12, with their grain offerings and their male goats as a sin offering 12. And all the cattle for the peace offerings were 24 bulls, the rams 60, the male goats 60, the lambs a year old 60. This was the dedication of the altar after it was anointed. And when Moshe went into the tent of meeting to speak with him, he heard the voices of one speaking to him from above the lid of the atonement that was on the ark of the witness, from between the 2 cherubim. Thus he spoke to him.
And Mr. Kent, you've already made the point of how many people are out there in the wilderness. So even though these numbers seem astronomically large, we did have a large amount of people to feed. So we fed that to each person every day. Plus, of course, the next day, the peace offerings would be allowed to be eaten as leftovers on the next day, but not on the 3rd day. But I don't even know if there would be leftovers the next day,
right,
according to how many people were out there. So we did have quite a lot of people to feed. and it was a feast. Alright, seeing no comments or questions, the Haftorah portion for this week comes from Judges chapter 13, verses 2 through 25. And there was a man from Zorah, of the clan of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren, and had not borne. And a messenger of Yahweh appeared to the woman and said to her, See now, you are barren, and have not borne, but you shall conceive, and you shall bear a son. And now, please guard, and do not drink any wine or strong drink, and do not eat any unclean food. For look, you are conceiving and bearing a son, and let no razor come upon his head. For the youth is a Nazarite to Elohim from the womb on. And he shall begin to save Israel out of the hand of the Philistines, or the Pelishites, as some versions say. And the woman came and spoke to her husband, saying, A man of Elohim came to me, and his appearance was like the appearance of a messenger of Elohim, very awesome. But I did not ask him where he was from, and he did not declare to me his name. And he said to me, You are conceiving and bearing a son, and now drink no wine or strong drink, nor eat any animal, nor eat any unclean food, for the youth is a Nazarite to Elohim from the womb to the day of his death. And Manoah prayed to Yahweh, and said, O Yahweh, please let the man of Elohim, whom you sent, come to us again, and teach us what to do for the youth who is to be born. And Elohim listened to the voice of Manoah, and the messenger of Elohim came to the woman again as she was sitting in the field. But Manoah, her husband, was not with her. And the woman ran hurriedly and informed her husband and said to him, See, he has appeared to me again, the man who came to me the other day. And Manoah arose and went after his wife and came to the man. And he said to him, Are you the man who spoke to this woman? And he said, I am. And Manoah said, Now let your words come true. What is to be the rule for the youth's life and his work? And the messenger of Yahweh said to Manoah, Let the woman guard all that I said to her. Let her not eat any food that comes from the vine, nor let her drink wine or strong drink, or any unclean food. Let her guard all that I have commanded her. And Manoah said to the messenger of Yahweh, Please let us detain you and prepare a young goat for you. And the messenger of Yahweh said to Manoah, Though you detain me, I did not eat your food. But if you offer a burnt offering, offer it to Yahweh. For Manoah did not know he was a messenger of Yahweh. Then Manoah said to the messenger of Yahweh, What is your name? When your words come true, then we shall esteem you. And the messenger of Yahweh said to him, Why do you ask my name, since it is wondrous? And Manoah took the young goat with the grain offering and offered it upon the rock to Yahweh. And he did wondrously while Manoah and his wife looked on. And it came to be, as the flame went up toward the heavens from the altar, that the messenger of Yahweh went up in the flame of the altar, and Manoah and his wife were watching, and they fell on their faces to the ground. And the messenger of Yahweh did not appear any more to Manoah and his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was a messenger of Yahweh. And Manoah said to his wife, We shall certainly die, since we have seen Elohim. But his wife said to him, If Yahweh had been pleased to put us to death, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering from our hands, nor would he have shown us all this, nor would he have let us hear the like of this. So the woman bore a son, and called his name Shimshon. And the child grew, and Yahweh blessed him, and the Spirit of Yahweh began to move him at Mahanadan between Zerah and Eshtaol. So we see one example of a Nazirite vow there. This one, of course, being a lifelong Nazirite vow. We know that Yochanan, the immerser, was also under a lifelong vow. Whether that was Nazirite or just a Rechabite vow is controversial and not known. But we know he was under a vow of some sort for the life. And also Shemuel was under a Nazirite vow for life, where we see details of the vow here. Drink neither wine nor strong drink or anything that comes from the vine. For clarity purposes, that would be including any of your modern day pickles, your modern day dressings, your salad dressings, vinegar being an ingredient in most of their salad dressings. If vinegar is not an ingredient, then we're clear there, but vinegar is also a key ingredient in ketchup and barbecue sauce. So if we see anything from the vine or vinegar, then that would be part of the oath, which anyone wanting to take the oath would be abstaining from those as well, just for clarity purposes. Alright, that concludes
There's
this
a quick
Torah
teaching point
portion.
there. Just so you know.
Oh, what's a quick teaching point?
Well, if you think all the way back to Cain and Abel, a problem arose because he didn't do what this father did. And this father said, I don't understand, give me more information. And Yah heard him and sent more information so that he could understand and better know how to actively participate in this vow, and later on obviously teach his son how to actively participate in the vow. So if during that time frame he would have just asked, what is my sacrifice, then he would have known what to bring. But instead he was possibly arrogant or possibly too strong-minded to seek extra help, and just brought what he thought was right, and then his feelings were hurt when he was told he was wrong.
Wow, that's insightful. Thank you. I never saw that in Cain and Abel. I saw Cain being lazy or greedy, but you say maybe his heart wasn't in the right condition, except for him being self-centered enough, not so much that he would not seek outside advice.
Right.
And he wasn't actually thinking he was bringing a sacrifice. But when I read he brought of the grain, it seems like he just cut some of the grain off without destroying all the crop, and he just thought that was good enough. Whereas the animal that Abel destroyed was gone.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to get any more. He's not going to get any more wool from the animal. If it was a female, no more milk from the animal. And the scripture, I think, records that he completely burned it. So he's not even eating the meat that he could have got from the animal. The animal was
completely consumed.
In the strictest form of the term, sacrifice. He gave up something to please Yah. Instead of just the crops would come back next year. Maybe he didn't even take all of the crops. He said he just took of the crops. So, but I like Mr. Kent's explanation better as well. It could be that he was just self-centered and not seeking advice, as many of us have that problem. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that was awesome. I said this concludes, so I was done. So if you have any other questions or comments, go ahead. Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Kent. You did not interrupt. You just postponed the end, which is not a bad thing. Because that is a very active problem in the world today, is people being self-centered and not seeking advice from outside. But Manoah did actually seek advice and did ask the messenger and did things correctly.
When you seek Yah in prayer, He does answer. And He answered there. If only He would answer sometimes that way with us. I'd love for Him to send somebody to break it down for me. I think that would be wonderful.
Actually, there's a drama on TV many years ago where that happened. And, of course, my dad didn't like it because he didn't fully understand. I loved it. It was Joan of Arcadia. And this girl, when she moved, Yahweh would appear to her, and it would be in a human form every time. But she knew that it was Yahweh that was appearing. And He would ask her to do something which seemed totally ludicrous and insane, made absolutely no sense. But when the show had concluded, what He asked her to do was helping someone else along the way. And I thought, I love the concept, I love the entire show, but you know.
A message from Zipporah.
Oh, okay, thank you. Shalom, and thank you. You're welcome, Zipporah, and thank you very much for your participation. But yeah, this does conclude it, so you want to thank me, I want to thank Yahweh, so let's give, it's okay. As a friend of mine, if you know Jim Meyer, his younger brother taught me a saying. Every time he did something for me, I'd say, thank you. He says, that's okay, but I'm not the one you should thank. And again, I'm not the one you should thank, but let's give thanks to the one who deserves it. Thank you, Father Yahweh, for this, your Torah, and thank you for your Sabbath day. Thank you for your teachings. Most importantly, thank you for giving us a day of rest, a day to relax, to study your Torah, and to be refreshed and replenished by your word, and recharged, ready to go out into the week. But now as we go out into the week and go out and do our business, let's keep mindful of our mission here is to bring your kingdom. So shall we keep our eyes open and see people who are in need and help them along the way. Please guide and direct all of us, Father Yahweh, in ways that we can serve you as we go out and do our business. Let's keep mindful of the kingdom and help and do our will and do your will simultaneously. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Please bring your kingdom and help us to be a blessing to you as we go about our work. In Yahshua's name we ask, make it so.